This is The Discourse with Dr. Ken.
Hello out there. Good afternoon. This is The Discourse with Dr. Ken. How are you out there? Are you enjoying the Sunday? It must be bright because it's quite bright, quite sunny here in London, the United Kingdom. Today's topic is the English Premier League and the impact it has on Nigerian families. We're supposed to take on the Jaguar syndrome and whether this Jaguar phenomenon is a blessing or is it agony for those who took on that journey. But today, going by what our research threw up, we decided to switch the topic. And today we are going to discuss the English Premier League and the impact it has on Nigerian families. We use the opportunities to get the feedback. How do you feel now that the EPL is back? What are your expectations for the season? And then how is your family coping with it? I made my way to the Emirates Stadium yesterday. I couldn't quite get a ticket, so I couldn't get it. But the atmosphere outside the Emirates was tremendous. Quite sunny. It was like a carnival. A lot of expectations around that club. Well, eventually the match took place, and then I am sure you all know the outcome. So today I'm going to have in the studio two gentlemen, Uyoh, and Joseph Faulkner. And we X-ray, we look at the EPL, we look at the impact it has on families, and try to take your clubs one by one and see by way of forecast where they will end up in the 2024 season. Please hang in there when we come back and make a proper introduction of my guests.
This is The Discourse with Dr. Ken.
You're welcome back. This is Discourse with Dr. Ken. I am having the studio Joseph Faulkner. Joseph Faulkner, how are you?
I'm very well, doctor. I'm very, very well. I'm jealous that you almost got into the Emirates yesterday, though. Because I would have loved to be there yesterday. Saw the atmosphere on TV and it was amazing. Amazing.
Yes. I took a gamble. I couldn't quite get the ticket. I was promised by an executive who says, you know what, come to the stadium. I take you into the box. But I enjoyed myself outside the stadium. People travel from far and where, all the way from Australia, from the United States, California, New York, and then of course the whole of England. And have you seen the new away kit? Amazing. 90% of people were wearing it. I wonder why they prefer that.
I almost wore it to the office today. It's a beautiful. I love the African print idea to the new jersey. It tells you Arsenal have realized their global appeal and they are doing everything to make everybody be part of the club in some ways, and that's the idea behind the new away kit, and it's absolutely beautiful.
Great. So that's great. But it wasn't just only about Arsenal. On Friday, I watched Manchester United host Fulham. Fulham was going to pull off some. It wasn't going to be a surprise if it ended a draw anyway, going by the form of United the last 1 year. But it was a good atmosphere too in Manchester. Today, Chelsea is going to play Manchester City, and then of course it goes on and on. The beat goes on. Uyoh, how are you? You're in the studio today, aren't you?
Yes, I am. It's good to be back here again. I'm having a good Sunday, by the way. First of all, both of you, yourself and Joseph Faulkner, are talking about how Arsenal launched a new jersey and how they did well in their game yesterday. Manchester United, which happens to be my club, did very well on Friday as the opener, and their jersey, by the way, the third jersey of Manchester United looks very, very good. But I'm doing great. I'm doing great, and it's good to be here.
Fantastic. I wish you all the best this season.
Thank you very much.
Now, today, but it's about the fans, the Nigerian fans, and the families. How is this English Premier League impacting our families? So there are going to be a lot of messages, feedback, and we're going to discuss those feedbacks as soon as we begin to get them. Because I've heard from all manner of people, be them wives, be them families, grandpas, grandmas, how the EPL has impacted on their lives. So we're going to discuss all that today, and then we're going to take the clubs So, Joseph Faulkner, what's your expectation for the season, especially for the teams that came from the championship?
So I happen to have seen a lot of them last season: Ipswich Town, Southampton, and Leicester City, and I'm very excited to see what Ipswich Town will do in the Premier League, because they look like the most organized of all of the teams that came from the Championship. My only problem with them is they concede a lot of goals. They score tons of goals. They know how to score goals. They're a very exciting side, but they concede a lot of goals. And I've not seen the manager or the club as a whole do anything, to take care of that defensive problems they've had from last season. Leicester City for me looks like the weakest of the three of them. Southampton will give you a lot of fight, a lot of run, but then there's a bit of a maturity that is there, and it was exposed yesterday in their first game back in the Premier League. But as a whole, I expect at least two of them to stay up in the Premier League. I expect one of Bournemouth or what's their name? I expect Bournemouth actually. Bournemouth is the team I'm thinking will probably join one of the two guys that came up to go back to the championship. But in a whole, I'm expecting Ipswich Town and Southampton to at least stay in the Premier League, because they look like the most prepared of the three teams that came from the championship.
That's very interesting focus, especially as it affects, as it relates to Bournemouth. It will be interesting to know what you think about the teams that came in from the championship to the Premiership for 2024
Well,
25 season.
yeah, I think all three teams, not all three teams, I think two out of the three teams will stay back in the Premier League. I disagree with Joseph Faulkner saying Bournemouth will go down this season. I think the team that will join either Ipswich, and I think it's going to be Ipswich and Southampton. I think Leicester City will try to stay back, but I think Everton is the team I think will go down with those two teams, just because they failed to replace a very big player that they sold to Aston Villa, Onana. And yesterday they played, I think they lost 3-0 to Brighton. A very woeful performance. It looks like there is no real impact that they seem to want to do this season in the league. So I do think it's going to be Everton that will go down alongside Ipswich and Southampton. I have a feeling about Leicester because they've been here before, and not just because they've been here before, but they just went down last season and they came back up. I think they'll be able to maintain their stay in the Premier League this season.
Okay, that's quite interesting. I hear you say Leicester. I agree with you. Leicester looks strong, but there's a bit of news going around here in the UK around Leicester and the chances of that they may get docked some points early this season because of the PSR rules, which they faulted in the last two seasons anyway. So keep an eye on that. Leicester is sitting on talking about PSR rule. That is a handbrake that has held all clubs in the EPL. I don't know if you've noticed that the transfer window is not as robust as it used to be, especially in the summer, because everybody's looking at their books, balancing it, looking at the back. So if you're a fan and you're expecting that your club will be spending and spending and spending, yes, they can do that, but there'll be consequences. Talking about spending, I'm sure a club comes to mind, just a Faulkner.
Yeah. I'll deviate a bit from what you've just said. There are some clubs that are very healthy and they don't have a problem with the PSR. They're not even thinking about the PSR. But like Arsenal, for instance, one of the things Arsenal is thinking about is to maintain the long-time healthy financial state of the club. That's all. If Arsenal can go on and spend about 200 million pounds in this window, and it won't affect them, it won't affect their books, and that's because of how over the last 5 years Arsenal found a way to shed a lot of financial burden, and at the same time in that process they were able to bring on a bit more financial dealings, so, and it's one of the message that Wenger preached for a long time when it was around. A lot of people castigated Wenger for not signing after the team got to the Emirates Stadium. Arsene Wenger stopped signing big players, stopped spending money on it depended on the academy, the Arsenal academy, to breed new talent into the main team. And a lot of people wondered why. And today, Arsenal is enjoying all of that, even though there was a brief period when Arsenal started buying and started awarding outrageous salaries, to players. And one of the first things Arteta did was come in, shed that load, got rid of a lot of the big spending players that weren't performing, and now the club is in a state where they're willing to spend about 100 and something on a striker. But who is a striker? So if you look at the market itself, for clubs that really need, and the club that have the managers that know what they are doing, and they really need the players are not in the market. Arsenal need a point man, a striker, a Haaland kind of player. And you're looking at who are the available strikers in the market. Maybe Victor Osimhen. Apart from Osimhen, maybe Ole Watkins. I don't think anybody is going to put 150 million pounds on Ole Watkins right now.
There's Ivan Toney.
Ivan Toney, nobody wants to put 150 million pounds on Ivan Toney, a player who is talented, but his attitude is not at par with his talent. Because for Arsenal, for Arteta, for instance, one of the messages is preached is the attitude must be right. The player must want to play for Arsenal, but the attitude must be right. That's why I got rid of Ozil.
For him, it's not just about the talent.
No, it's not. It's not. And Osimhen showed recently that his talent, his attitude is very questionable. The tantrum he threw with the club, with Napoli last season, and then in the national team again, going on social media to with that outburst and all of that. So little details like this will affect them. But in a whole, you talked about Leicester City. There is the Manchester City angle as well. The case about the 115 charges against Man City is going to start in September. They're hoping that early next year there's going to be a verdict and all of that. So Manchester City is also looking at that. But remember, they just made a lot of money from the sale of Alvarez, so they can actually afford to spend as much as 100 million right now if they are sure that they won't be caught in the 115 charges that is already waiting, for them.
Unfortunately, they are not sure because this is United Kingdom. It's not Nigeria where you can have 115 charges and then you go scot-free.
But they've been escaping this for a while.
But the pressure is on, I can tell you. But let's see. Guardiola and Man City is under pressure. There's no entitlement to the league. I mean, empire rises and falls. So,
I'm hoping they get punished though. I'm hoping they get deducted points for the last two seasons.
Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you? It's easy for you to say that. Why wouldn't you?
If they've won the titles unfairly.
I think the Faulkner is helping you because somebody came from somewhere, elbowed you out of your city and dominated the city. Is that not a concern?
Of course it is.
Yes, it is.
But it explains the exact reason why Arsenal fans are praying.
Sorry. We're talking about your city, Manchester. Somebody has bullied your team.
No, we all understand what has happened. I'm taking you back to Arsenal.
Somebody came from nowhere, from the boys' quarter, came into the main house, elbowed you out. They're pretty.
Dr. Ken,
for football reasons.
Dr. Ken, they are all. There's time and season for everything. Manchester City are at their prime at the moment. We can't argue against it. And Manchester United have themselves to blame. The era after Alex Ferguson has been woeful. A bunch of people that have handled the club. They really don't know. They really didn't know anything about football. Yes, they made a lot of profit and money for the club, but they had no idea what it was.
Okay, you are talking of the board and management.
Yes, of Manchester United. Why the city of Manchester is blue at the moment. But aside that, going back to what Joseph Faulkner said, I do think Manchester City, as much as they have 115 PSL cases, charges and all of that. The one thing that I think fans should not forget is it's not those charges that played football on the pitch. Whatever happens to Manchester City, we can't deny the fact that they had a very good coach and they had a very good squad, and that's what won them the titles. Not the fact that they had.
Why they can't look?
Let me give you information. Uyoh. Let us look at the spine. Yes, we give them credit. They won the title back to about 4 years. But let me give you an information. Look at the spine of the city. They had us in 30 years. Walker 34, 33 going to 34. Stones 33. In the middle, you have the
Bruyne
man, KDB going to 32, 33. up front, same thing. So you think that is the age that wins the league consistently?
No, well, I don't think they win this. Personally, my favorite to win this league is Arsenal, and it hurts me to say that, but it's the truth. I do think
Okay,
Arsenal
so
will win it.
we'll leave it at there. Let's leave it at there so that Joseph Faulkner won't hurt you. I don't want Joseph Faulkner to compete.
But interesting enough, everybody thinks Arsenal will win it.
Yeah.
I want the messages from some of our listeners. How is this English Premier League impacting on families? Are the wives happy that the EPL is back?
Well, I'm waiting for the messages to drop. I'm trying to figure out what the main issue is. But please, those listeners, you can send your messages on WhatsApp with the number 0909 217 2973, and on Twitter it's Classic FM 973. So I'm waiting for the messages to drop. I'm not sure if I think some has dropped, but I'm yet to see them, so we are trying to sort that out. But speaking about wives and families, I think wives at this point, those that are not interested in football, have handed over the remotes to their husbands, knowing fully well that this is a different season at home. I'm sure that has happened.
Was that a democratic decision, or it's with the gun on the head?
I think it's with the gun on the head. It's with the gun.
Anyway, let me tell you, it's not just domesticated, the consequences of the EPL. If you look at the brewery sector, for example, between statistics and numbers have shown that between May and the first week of August, sales actually dropped slightly, and data is showing that it's because of the absence of the EPL. Because once the EPL starts, the sales for alcohol beverages, especially beer, goes up. And then if you talk about the HoReCa, what we mean by HoReCa is hotel, restaurants, and cafes. You can see the traffic also drops after the Premiership. And then once the Premiership season is coming up, it goes back up between August and September. So it affects businesses and it affects lives. Joseph Faulkner, I'm sure this is the discussion on the street.
Yeah, it is. You forgot to mention pay TV as well, because I was privy to some information from the major pay TV service provider in Nigeria, and immediately the season ended, their sales dropped, their subscription dropped, and all of a sudden, last week, there were a lot of subscriptions coming up again, and it's a normal thing, and that tells you the power of football, not just the Premier League now. There's the La Liga, there's the German Bundesliga, but football generally. There was the Olympics, but sales didn't really go back up like it has gone because of football that is returned in most part of Europe. And going back to the domestic angle of this whole thing, the interesting thing is a lot of wives are actually happy this period as well. As much as a lot of all these joints are bubbling and all of that, there are some husbands who stay at home this period because they want to sit down and watch about 3-4 games on a Saturday or on a Sunday, and their wives are happy that, okay, at least now I know where he is. I know what he's doing. He's in the sitting room. I'll tell you a little funny story. My ex-wife used to be happy on weekends when I'm not watching football with the boys. One of the things she used to do then, she would make sure she prepares. Sorry, God rest his soul. Sly and I had our version of finger foods. Grilled chicken, grilled fish, and yam and all the rest. She will make those things because she's happy that I'm staying at home. And then she's not interested in the match. She'll be on her tab, but she will lie down beside me with her head on my thighs, and she's happy. So there are so many women who are like that. They are happy that, okay, I know where this man is, and this is right beside me here. He's not doing anything untoward, because a lot of our women suspect our men, and our men are not doing well, safe, the way they do outside. But at the end of the day, the Premier League has, or the football generally has, different effects on different people. But the major thing is it increases commercial activities in a lot of areas, lot of areas, and that's why so many joints are happy. So many places are happy, right now.
Fantastic. So we go on break, and then when we come back, I'd like to hear Uyo's perspective on this, how the EPL impacts and affects Nigerian families. Please stay tuned.
This is The Discourse with Dr. Ken.
Great. So welcome back to the Discourse. This is Discourse with Dr. Ken. Today's topic is very interesting one, a special edition. Why is it special? The EPL is back and it has tremendous impact and effect on Nigerian families. And even here in the UK, where I have come to cover the beginning of the EPL. We did this when the EPL rounded up in May. I was here and I followed the last 4 games, especially the ones that Arsenal played in Manchester. Which was the game where they thought they had lifted the title, but fell short just by 2 points when they came back to London. But from here, London, I have 2 guests. Uyoh is not just a broadcaster; he's a top resource and talent, and he's a subject matter expert on as far as the football and sporting property is concerned. Then I have Joseph Faulkner. Joseph Faulkner knows the business in and out. He knows the business of sports. He knows the commercial side of sports. Then he knows the product called football in and out. So I have 2 of them. We're looking at how this impacts on families, how it impacts on our own lives, and then the EPL. We're going to have in the next 30 minutes some kind of assessment, how the new clubs, are they going to stay? How it's going to make top 4, and who probably will win the league this year. So I go back to Uyoh. I hear that we have a couple of messages from our families.
Yeah, we have a few messages from our families, if I'll put it that way. There's a message here. The name is not here, but he says, "Hello, Discuss. I think it will be very impactful if the EPL season." I don't want to mention the paid TV that he's talking about, but he said the paid TV should discount its rates to every of its subscribers, most especially because of the very hard economic times. For me, the EPL times are very sensitive. It's a very sensitive period, and all companies involved in making the EPL possible are cashing out big time. I like all clubs, though I decided to hang out with Manchester United because of my dad, and I used crush on a very few players. It's interesting how this is impacting people. But I can also do Arsenal.
That's a lady.
Because that's a lady. Yeah, it's actually a lady. Because of one of my brothers is their biggest fans. That's from Amanda.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a lady. Fuck, I don't be scared. That's from the lady. And then
do you have some personal experiences with families that have been impacted over the years by the EPL?
Yes, of course. Let's bring it to home. Personally, my wife loves the fact that I get to watch the EPL at home. When I was single, I used to sit at friends' place to watch the games, or probably hang out at a bar or something. But she likes the fact that I'm home. In fact, she, just like Faulkner said, my wife prepares maybe lunch or dinner. We sit down together. She's excited. Like, not before we met and became a couple, she loved football. But meeting me, a huge football fan, and me deciding to sit down home to watch football has taken it up a notch. It's taken up a notch.
And the commercial angle of even being at home, for wives and you that have wives and kids, you realize that you are making provisions for extra view. You're having extra TV sets or tabs so that your kids can watch something else, or so it has a big financial ramification all round. So it's not just the pay TV companies or pubs that make this money. Local business people that sell electronics also. I love good sound. So the TV, both in the sitting room and in the living room and the bedroom, have proper sound system attached to them, because I want to feel the stadium, I want to feel everything. So I know so many families are like that, because it's either you are leaving the TV in the sitting room for the wife and kids, or you have to choose one. So you either stay in the room with the small TV, or but so it blesses everybody all round.
Yeah, altogether.
And that's the beautiful thing about the Premier League in itself, and football generally in itself.
Yeah, I also have another angle to this. I know a friend. He supports Manchester United. the wife and their kid, their only kid, they support Liverpool. And it's football, but the banter at home is very serious. Like they take it an extra mile. You know, they get really pissed at each other when they are when Liverpool is playing Manchester United, and sometimes they get really angry when they are bantering. So I really hope that Nigerians and everybody listening or fans of football will understand that it's just football. Let's keep it at football. You know,
but Uyoh, it makes it beautiful. My son is 13 going on 14, right? The only time we argue is football.
It's football.
He stopped supporting Arsenal at age 6. And he told me, Daddy, you're supporting a losing team. You know, and he started supporting Real Madrid. And in England, he deliberately supports Liverpool just so he can attack me. You know, and me and him, you see us, the only time we argue about anything, you know, is when we're watching Liverpool games or Arsenal game, or Liverpool is playing. After last season, I had a swell time because Arsenal had it good against Liverpool.
Arsenal was doing very well.
And you know, it also helps the relationship between kids and their parents, especially if the kids love the sport. You know, like my son now, that football part has made sports generally, because he plays football, it has made us stronger.
Yeah,
because we keep talking tactics, and it makes me I feel so happy and fulfilled every time my son is discussing tactics with me. And I'm like, he's just 13, you know. And I know a father who leaves the house when Arsenal is losing, because he knows his sons, he has 2 boys, they will not let him rest. They will not. So he leaves the house. Once Arsenal is trailing in any game, he will stylishly leave the house and then come back very late in the night. You know,
I think it really helps with bonding the family. Yeah, when everybody has a shared opinion about something, it helps with the bonding the family. Yes, it might cause a bit of dispute, but at the end of the day, bonding it's a big factor when it comes to family bonding.
Yes, you are right, guys. Yesterday I ran into Martin Keown. I don't know those of you who Martin Keown. So I ran into him outside the stadium and I asked him, talking about life and death. I said, why is football so serious in England? He said, listen, it's not a matter of life and death, but it's more important than that.
That's a very, very beautiful way to put it.
Seriously.
You know, so
it is
and talking about families, it's not just about the joy of scoring goals and then conceding and winning trophies. Football is actually it makes a lot of impact when you want to understand strategy, because you have to understand the strategy behind the transfer market, how you build a team, how that team will have to have a spine, what do you want to deliver in terms of your KPIs versus the resources you have. So in management too, you know, if you understand those things very well, these are the things that translate into football management. So it's not just kicking a football around. For people who especially who make the excuse that why do I want to watch 11 people running around? No, it's much more than that. It is strategy in play, and it is a lot of business decisions being in there. Now let's go into the football teams proper. Now, Joseph Faulkner.
Yeah.
How do you see the top 4 this season, and why? And take those teams one by one, starting from 4, 3, 2, and 1.
Okay,
and why?
So I'll tell you
I'll
tell you the 4 teams I'm expecting to finish in the top 4 this season. Tottenham Hotspur should finish in 4th. I'm expecting Aston Villa to still be in the mix, and then I expect Manchester City and Arsenal. Tottenham Hotspur simply because I found out something that since Harry Kane left, as a team they have scored more goals than they've ever done. As a team, they have scored a lot more. Yes. Before Harry Kane left, they never got to 70 goals a season. Well, in his last 3 seasons for them. Since he left,
talking about Tottenham now.
Yeah, Tottenham Hotspur. Since Harry Kane left, they've scored over 70 goals every season. Over 70 goals. And that tells you something. The team is not focused on just one player anymore. The team now wants to score goals, and the goals can come from everywhere. Son last season, I think he missed Harry Kane a lot because he's used to playing through Harry Kane. He had to take on the burden of leading the team. But now there's Dominic Solanke, and I think Solanke has goals in him. He knows how to score goals. He played for a Bournemouth side that it was just kick and follow really last season, and he scored 19 goals at the end of the season. So So I feel adding Dominic Solanke to that team is going to just make them stronger and a lot better than they were last season. I think they will finish fourth in the Premier League. Aston Villa, they have a manager who is very, very, very pragmatic. He loves to play very, very high intensity football. He loves quick counter attacks, but at the same time he understands when to shut up or lock up when he needs to do that. He's a very pragmatic coach. He's a very experienced coach. He's a man who has won titles and trophies before coming to England. Yes, his time at Arsenal wasn't a beautiful one, but look at what he has done with Aston Villa. He didn't have to spend so much getting into Aston Villa, but then he was able to build them to the point where they were taking points off the big teams. Arsenal could not beat Aston Villa last season, and that's a testament to as good as Arsenal, was in the league last season. Arsenal couldn't beat Aston Villa, and this season again, look at them at the London Stadium against West Ham. They were absolutely brilliant against West Ham, winning that game last night. So I expect Aston Villa to be third. Manchester City, the law of diminishing return will definitely come into play. And that's because Doctor, you listed out the ages of these players. Can they continue doing it at this level? I've been waiting for Manchester City to refresh like they normally do, right? But they've only brought in Silvio into the side. Him alone cannot do the job. I fear for them against Chelsea in the first game of the season. There's no Rodri, and we know what happens to them when there's no Rodri to give the likes of De Bruyne, Foden the freedom to do what they love to do. So it's a problem for them. But generally, even De Bruyne, can his body carry the rigors of playing 38 plus games a season? We saw how injured, how many times he was out of the team last season. The same thing with Haaland. He was injured for a long time last season. Now there's no Alvarez to deputize for Haaland. So I'm looking at the dynamics of the team and I'm thinking, do they have what it takes to continue being at the top, especially after winning everything? And now Arsenal is getting close. Arsenal is strengthening. And that's why I feel Arsenal, after pushing for 2 seasons, this is the best time for them to win the title. If they can have all their players fit, and I'm talking about the likes of Timber, Calafiori, who's just coming to the side, those 2 centre backs, Gabriel and Saliba, Benjamin White, a right back, and then all the other guys, you Partey in the middle, Declan Rice and Odegaard. Yesterday, during the game, we saw Rice going out of the game. We saw Saka limping at some point. For the first time in a long time, Saka didn't complete 90 minutes in the game because he had a knock. Those are little things that can affect Arsenal. But all things, playing the right way, Arsenal will win the title. It's just theirs to lose.
Okay. So that would be your top 4.
Yes.
Let me hear Jason Faulkner. By the way, City is playing Chelsea today. Yeah. So Chelsea have 43 or thereabout outfield players. You wonder how that team can be selected. They
can only register a certain amount of players for the game itself. But the thing with
because the way it's looking like anybody.
They would need 2 luxurious buses to take their teams out.
They said, "Do you want to join?" If he says
yes, So interesting thing about them, about Chelsea and what they are doing. Even though it looks outrageous, but you look at the ages of the players they are signing, a lot of them are youngsters. A lot of them will not succeed. A lot of them will not make it at Chelsea. Eventually Enzo Maresca will have to find the bearing. But one of the things I've seen,
buy one get one free. Or
well. But what I love about what Enzo Maresca has done since he got into the side is the fact that he has stuck to some players. So it looks like he's definitely trying to look for his own team from the number of players they have, the 1 million players they have at their disposal. He's looking for his own team and impose his own. And the other players will go on loan. It's normal at Chelsea now that every season they send over 20 players out on loan. It's become a thing,
That's
for them.
Model there.
Well, it is, and it helps them, and the kind of contracts they offer these players, it helps them escape any violation of any financial fair play rules.
Yeah. Palmer just signed the extension, and people in England are congratulating him for it. They say he's 9 years in prison.
Doctor, it's outrageous. How are you signing your life away? It reminds me of Filippo Sondu.
Mm-hmm. It's crazy. Something similar to
Uyoh. Yeah. So you're top 4 and why? And you start from the 4th.
Oh, okay. I think the top 4 will be, my perspective, Manchester United 4th, I think Liverpool will be third, Manchester City second, and Arsenal first. Let me tell you why I think Manchester United will be fourth. Last season, Manchester United finished eighth, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
The only thing that saved Manchester United's season was that FA Cup final match that they won against Manchester City. In fact, it saved the job of the coach, Erik ten Hag. If not, he would have been sacked. But I think one good thing that they've done this season is fortify their defense line. Manchester United last season was the second highest team to concede in the league. You know, it was that bad. The defense was that bad. A lot of people kept blaming on Nana and all of that, but the truth is that defense line was horrible.
It wasn't consistent. They were using different players.
They were using different players, but it was because of the injuries.
So who have they
also,
in defense now?
so there is De Ligt from Bayern Munich. There's Uyoh, the star. They call him the star boy from Lille. Real Madrid were on his neck to join them, but he decided to go with Manchester United.
He had a beautiful last season as well.
Yeah, and he did very well last season also. And then there's Mazraoui, the player from Bayern Munich, the Moroccan from Bayern Munich. These are very, very good defenders.
Former Ajax players.
So
the Dutch Academy.
Manchester United shopping for these defenders in Harrods or from Primark? Is it from
Dr. Ken, please, Dr. Ken, you need to relax. Dr. Ken, you need to relax with your Arsenal bias.
Who is not better than
Dr. Ken? Dr. Ken, I think you need to relax with your Arsenal bias here. I know. There's a reason why you're pointing it out. But I think, like I said, one good thing that Manchester United has done is fortify that defense line. I think if they are a bit more stable in defense, they will do well because the attack line is not the problem. They have players that can score goals. So once the defense is sorted out, I think they might end up fourth. Liverpool they've not bought any player this season, but they have a very healthy squad. The players that were on the bench last season have somehow found their way into the first 11. The other players from the academy, a bunch of them, Conor Bradley, Quensa, they are playing beautiful football. And the coach, the new coach, Arne Slot, did mention that he sees no reason why he should be very active in the transfer window when he has a very, very healthy squad. So I think that's going to help him. And the game I saw yesterday that they played was very, very beautiful. They look like he's going to slot in easily. Manchester City will be second because I think Pep Guardiola is very consistent. He's the only reason why Manchester City will do anything this season. The players, just like we've mentioned, most of them will not be physically able to carry on throughout the season. But I think that experience and the fact that Pep has done this time and time again, he's going to find himself there. Just like Joseph Faulkner did mention, it's Arsenal's league to lose if the players do stay fit. But I think it's beyond that. Arteta has found a way. He's found a strategy and it's working. He has a very good relationship with the board. Edu is on his is working with him full time. They are buying the players that they need and the players that they want. They're going to the transfer window. They want a player. We never used to see that before. You know, Arsenal, they know what they want and they get it. So I think for that reason, because they are very consistent, they will win the league. So I think Manchester United, Liverpool will be third, City will be second, and Arsenal will be first.
Wow. I can't believe there's a day Uyoh will predict Arsenal to win the title.
Things happen. Things happen.
Yes, I'm happy that you managed to squeeze in United there.
Well,
this bias is unbelievable.
But doctor,
I have because the strategy is right.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Manchester United, you fortify. The strategy is to fortify the defense. Now the how is what I'm querying. If you go and get in a bid to fortify, if you go and get players that are not better than Eric Dyer, and you pay £40 million, is that the best you can do in the match?
No, I think if we look at Lenny Euro that was brought in for Manchester United, Lenny Euro is 19. He was
when Arsenal brings in 19-year-old like they did with Saliba, they send them on loan. You don't expect a 19-year-old to come.
He had a terrific season last time out at Lille. He was part of the first 11 for the French Championat Team of the Season at that age. Real Madrid wanted him.
Not just Real Madrid.
A lot of clubs, wanted him. But I mentioned Real Madrid because
three
that's the
top
pick
clubs.
of the bunch.
PSG wanted him.
PSG were on his case.
Yeah.
Real Madrid were close, actually. It was just that Real Madrid were willing to wait for his contract to elapse. They wanted him to.
We're talking about the EPL here.
Yes. I'm mentioning.
Can he do it in the EPL?
Well, it is. You find players like that, like Uyoh, they are exceptional players. I don't think it's about the league that you play. If you're a good player, you can play anywhere.
So let me just chip in there. And Doctor, the difference between Saliba at 19 and Uyoh at 19 is Saliba was not playing for a supposed top team in any league at 19. It was just a prospect who Arsenal got and sent on loan. Instead, Uyoh was one of the best players in that Lille side last season. So good that it made the Euros, and that's the difference between those two players.
Okay, so we wish them the very best of luck. I agree with you.
I don't wish them the best of luck.
I wish them the best of luck, and I think they do well. If everybody's fit, they are doing well.
A lot of Arsenal fans celebrated the fact that Man U was able to retain Ten Hag because he was doing a damn good job.
But Doctor, the only problem we've not talked about for Manchester United, my worry is, and maybe it could be safe, because the manager keeps bringing players he has worked with at Ajax, and that's my problem.
Well, it could go both ways.
Exactly.
It could go really bad because
or really good,
or very, very good.
Yeah.
Because he knows these players. He's worked with them in the past. The player
it didn't work last season, so what's the guarantee to work?
Because Anthony, look at
this
Anthony.
season, yes, I totally understand. But Anthony, according to the coach, plays better when there's a certain Mazraoui there. So the Mazraoui is here now. The Mazraoui. Let's see if it's actually going to work.
Ten Hag should be writing movie scripts.
No, but I'm not a huge fan. I'm not a huge fan of Ten Hag, but I see what he's also trying to do. Last season was bad because of injuries. He didn't get most of his.
That was his
it was huge. We had loads of injuries last season. He didn't get some of his tactics right, but it wasn't that bad.
Harry Maguire would play.
Not
evil would do.
Those injuries did cost a lot of things, but Harry Maguire had a good game against Fulham, by the way.
He always has those 2-3 good games.
Do we have any messages? Otherwise, I'd like Joseph Faulkner to talk to me about the likes of Newcastle United.
Okay, we have a message here, a bit controversial, but I'll read it out anyway. It says, greetings to you and your guest. Hopefully there will be a time in future when you can also promote Nigerian and African football leagues like this, so as to create more buzz about them too and reduce mental slavery. Very harsh. Mental slavery is a hard word, but do I?
So can I say something about the mental slavery part?
Okay.
And one of the things we need to understand is, football is a global language, right? If you do it well, it's a global product. If you do it well anywhere, everybody will come for it, will look for you. Gradually, the Nigerian league is beginning to come up, right? And there's nobody who is slave to the Premier League or the La Liga. These are the best leagues in the world, and every corner of the world watches them. So it's nothing about slavery. Eventually, hopefully, Nigerian league will get to that point where they can be on TV first. Everybody can watch, and then everybody can talk about them.
Let me just add to that. He didn't mention his name, so but the truth is, if for instance we're on the show now and we're talking about a blockbuster movie that came out from Hollywood, maybe let's just say John Wick, the part 3. If we're talking about that, nobody will come on air and say, why are you guys discussing about John Wick and you're not talking about a Nollywood movie? The truth is, if it's a good product, it's a good product. And there's nothing you can do about it. There are places where the Nigerian league is being talked about. There are situations here in this radio station when the Nigerian league is being talked about. So I think it's just time and the situation of things. The word mental slavery is a bit harsh. I don't think that's the situation here. But the English Premier League is the biggest product right now, and we have no choice but to talk about it if the need be.
Fantastic. I'm happy you guys clarified that. Now let us stay with Nigeria for a minute. Joseph Faulkner, we just came back from the Olympics.
Doctor, don't do this.
So you can't pick and choose with Nigeria what you can speak about and what can trend.
Yeah.
See, all aspect of your national life cannot be shaken and one aspect is good. It's not possible.
Yeah.
You have to build the foundation, and you have to build the leadership that will understand what matters, what engagement means, and what product development means. If you talk about youth engagement, for example, I mean, if I were a government, I would look at sports and make sports a primary platform to begin to give us that opportunity to take out youth, to engage youth. Even it helps us even in our internal security, because when people are busy and when they have fascination with football. I'll give you statistics. Crime falls in the UK when there are top 4 teams playing every weekend. Crimes fall by 51%.
Yeah.
So you don't need extra money for policing and things like that. So it's a strategy thing. When the Nigerian government is ready, those opportunities and platforms are there, they will deal with it. Now, talking about the Olympics, shouldn't a minister who followed the entourage to bring 0 medals, spending 12 billion naira, be saying, you know what, I resign, just to show example?
I don't think so, Doc. To be.
I'm just asking a question.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. I don't think so, and the reason is simply because preparing for the Olympics is not a 1-year thing. He's just been out long in office. The minister, I don't think he's even been up to a year in office yet.
It's not been up to a year.
So preparations for the Olympics is a 3-year plus thing. Teams have returned from the Olympics to their different countries, and there is already plans to attend the next Olympic with a certain number of athletes, and they're already training them. What are we doing about it? So my own problem is, if in the next 2-3 months, or let me give him a long rope, 6 months, I don't see a proper plan to prepare for the next Olympics, then he should be fired.
From what you have seen so far, the months you have spent, you've seen enough to think that even if you're given 10 years, this man would get it right.
No, so that's why I don't want to rope him into anything that has just happened. I'm saying in the next 3 to 6, in the next 3 to 6.
You are in this sector. Have you seen signs and plans to show that there's a strategy in place?
For now, I've not seen anything.
So
but doctor, that's not on him. That's not on him. Like I said, the budget for the Olympics was there before he became a minister. The preparation period, he wasn't the minister. So that's why I won't rope him into this. But now you are the Minister of Sports. What is your plan for sports?
What is Nigerian sporting strategy? What is it? What's
right.
To do
so those are the things.
In terms of youth engagement, in terms of employment, in terms of national
those are the things. Now that we're
using sports as an instrument.
Now that we're back from the Olympics.
In place.
Now that we are back from the Olympics, because one of the things I know he's been doing was facilities. Since he came into office, he's been all about upgrading our facilities, making them good enough for athletes to use for training and for live events. That's what he has done. That's what he's been running all over Nigeria doing. That's why he's been to the National Stadium in Surulere. Yeah. He's been to Port Harcourt.
All those things are tactical. Anybody could do that. I expect a minister, federal minister, to come up with a national strategy for sports.
Well, Dr. Ken, I think the ministers in the past haven't done it. I don't think
asking this one to do it.
Yeah, so that's why he's doing something. And sorry, Uyoh, he's doing something. And me, I'm one of those people that before I give you the stick, I'm gonna give you the rope. And that's what I'm saying. Now we're back from the Olympics. You've been talking about facilities, infrastructures, and everything. Now we are back from the Olympics. You know what it takes to prepare for the next Olympics. If in the next 3 months, I don't see a plan that is made public, not in your office, that is made public, and a way to execute those plans, then get him fired. He should leave that office.
Yes, and I've gone beyond the Olympics now. I'm still demanding that because I know how important sports is to national life.
Yeah.
Especially when you tie it to economics, when you tie it to commerce, when you tie it to internal and external security and national, international instrument for diplomacy.
Yeah.
There should be a model strategy for all of this. And the minister should be able to articulate that. If he can't, he should get people outside sports who understand strategy, who understand leadership, and they'll put that together for him. But the minister should do that. I've not seen that.
Yeah, he has to.
He hasn't done it. From what we've seen so far, from what I have seen so far, it's not looking good. Favour of Philly, one of our biggest medal prospects in the just concluded Olympics, had an issue registering herself for one of the events. That is an issue that the sports ministry is clearly supposed to take care of. Since it was there was an issue, the sports ministry was supposed to help take care of it. But that didn't happen, and loads of issues that we can sit down here and talk about. The truth is, from antecedents, it's not been happening. Now he's here. He spent some time in here. There is nothing really to hold on to. Yes, Joseph Faulkner mentioned facilities and all of that. I do understand. It's part of what he should do. But the truth is, there's nothing tangible that we can hold on to at the moment.
Do you guys want the truth about the way to move Nigerian sports forward? If you want the truth, it's not. Exactly. We won't leave here today because it's more than the minister.
Of course,
all the association chairman, national association should be fired. The boards should be, because AFN, how did they mix up Ofili?
It's
Ofili's matter. Our boxing federation, what are they doing? Basketball federation, what are they doing? It's not the so the minister is not going to come and be sorting out these things one by one.
Of course, but box stops at his table.
He was trying to sort out the boxing people.
And does it contain this recommendation you just made?
So he has tried to mediate with several federations. That's not gonna. I said he's not been there for up to a year, and he's already putting it in different problems. That's why it's more than the minister. If we keep waiting for a minister to come and do whatever, we're not going to. This will continue to repeat every year. Then the next 4 years.
Let me assist you. First and foremost, for us to understand what this sports means as a property, it's a big global property.
Yes.
Since it's a big global property, the man you should appoint, man or woman should appoint, should understand international trade. You should understand international affairs and global instruments that help companies, organizations, and countries grow. And this comes from people who have managed multinationals.
Remove civil servants. Remove civil servants from our sports ministry.
But Dr. Ken, we know that's not
a multinational to understand this dynamic.
That doesn't work here in Nigeria.
It will work if we're ready to make it work.
Yeah,
remove civil service totally from sport in Nigeria.
Yeah,
all the federations have civil servants as permanent secretaries, as general secretaries, as whatever.
Appointments in office in the federal government is not done by who is best for the job. Is done by.
That's why I said remove civil service. Remove service separate.
Cannot continue to wobble like this, and we continue to.
So can you see it's more than the sports ministry?
It's
way more than the sports ministry.
Now, I think sports should be isolated because it can really help youth in Nigeria. Sports should be isolated, and it should be the most important appointment in the cabinet. I think. Now, last word from you on the EPL, Joseph Faulkner and Uyoh.
Congratulations in advance to us now.
I think this is how it crumbles for Arsenal.
But you know what? The truth is, I'm expecting a very competitive season.
You're putting there, isn't
it? The players themselves have already put themselves under a lot of pressure. At the end of last season, immediately the season ended, they told Arteta they want to win this season. So many of them cut their holiday short. So one of them got married, and about 4 days after the wedding ceremony, he was back in England, ready to train for the new season. All of them are motivated because they thought they were close last season, and they feel like, oh, it can happen this season. So they are already putting themselves in. I'm not putting them under any. I expect a very competitive season. In the Premier League, teams like Newcastle United, we didn't get to talk about them. I love what Eddie Howe is doing with them. They're not going to be playing in Europe this season, but you know what? It gives Eddie Howe the room to manage his squad better and achieve better than they did last season. So I'm expecting the likes of West Ham, Aston Villa, Newcastle United to give some sort of fight, at least get into European spaces.
Well, I won't say congratulations to Arsenal, but they are tipped to win the league. The truth is, if Arteta can take care of the fine details, that team will win the league. I think we should.
Is known for anyway.
Yeah,
it's a fine details. If you go and look at the document,
that's coming from an Arsenal fan. I think the teams we should watch out for this season: Aston Villa, They look like a team that is coordinated. They've made a few signings to help with the players that have left. As much as Ipswich Town might go down, but I think they are going to give some of the big teams a run for their money. The game against Liverpool yesterday wasn't that easy. Aside that, they have a very good coach, Stephen McKennie, a former Manchester United assistant coach. He did very, very well while he was there. I think he's going to. I think he's going to impact the league well. And I think for players to watch out for, Dominic Solanke is a fantastic buy for Tottenham. If he stays consistent, he'll be one to watch out for. Well, Dr. Ken, we have a few messages. I think, should I just go through them before we leave?
Yeah, quickly, because we have a minute to wrap up.
Okay, so there's a message from, I'm going to read his name, from Alhaji Lekon Anifowoshe from Anthony Village. He says, mental slavery. I'm sure he's replying to the message that was sent earlier, and he puts in a big LOL. But he says MPL, one word, marketing, and this cuts across all sports. An example was yesterday. There was a Surulere marathon, no online presence, nobody on ground. Residents simply woke up to see road closures. Any sports is a product, and it requires marketing. Stop funding, and all the leeches will disappear. That's from Alhaji Lekon. There's also another one. Good afternoon, Classic FM. Good afternoon, Uyoh and Joseph Faulkner. My name is Paul from Ilogbo, Ojo, Lagos. My take on the English Premier League is just that of an hungry man in an angry man. Okay. I love EPL and I'm a Manchester United fan, but now that the EPL has started, I'm sad because I'm hungry. Can't even feed myself and family. Talk less of paying subscription on my decoder. Please let's please let what we love, like the EPL, go to. Okay, I'm not going to say that. But he says, for me, we don't need the EPL. My kids hate our decoder. He definitely has a problem with his decoder, and we know where to fashion that message to. but yeah, those are the messages that we've gotten here.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Uyoh. Thank you very much, and Joseph.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you very much.
We did last season, closing the EPL. We've just done this to mark the opening of the 2024-25 season. There are a lot of twists and turns as we go on. But apart from enjoying the game, please understand the strategy behind it, understand the big plan behind it, and let us impact our lives positively. Thank you very much, and have a fantastic week ahead of you.
And that's it on The Discourse with Dr. Ken.